What's up, folks?
Hey,
Back for
Hey,
another
hey.
episode
what's going on?
talking real estate and
Yeah.
life and just trying to put some good information out for average people
Mm-hmm.
to kind of understand what we see and basically give a insider's perspective.
Yeah.
Try to help people. It's a complex process. I think everybody would agree, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Absolutely.
think our main intention of this podcast is to shed light
Mm-hmm.
on on the real estate transaction and kind of give like I said, an insider's perspective,
Yeah.
right? So
This episode's a little bit one of the more special ones, right? So normally we talk about real estate stuff.
yeah,
Today we get to talk about a real estate person. So as you all know, Ryan Wheeler, United Residential, he's a mortgage broker. My name's Austin Coots. I'm a real estate agent. I own the Compass and Key Group of Real Broker. And today we have one of my agents, Steve Niekerk.
Hello, hello.
Hey,
yes,
Good to be
sir.
here.
Hey, what's up, man? So, this episode, we're going to kind of focus on Steve a little bit and just, kind of give him a little bit of some light to, share a bit about yourself, your story, and some of your experience, and just kind of go with that, man. So,
All right.
welcome
Sounds
aboard.
good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, let's start off. Tell us about yourself.
All about me,
If
huh?
people want to know, where are you from?
What do people want to know? Where am I
Yeah.
from?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I am from obviously Elizabethtown.
Okay.
Lived in the area about 20 years, but I'm really from Indiana. That's where I grew up.
Sorry to hear
So I'm a Hoosier. I know.
Yeah.
For all you Hoosiers out there.
that. Yeah.
So moved here back and forth. I originally was here for a while, and then I met my wife, and then moved to Indiana for a couple years, and then we moved back to Kentucky. So it's been
Yeah.
about 20 years, I guess, at this point.
Has
So
it been E-Town, Elizabethtown the whole time?
we lived in Rineyville when we
Okay.
first home we lived, and we lived there
Yeah.
7-8 years or so, and then we moved into E-Town.
Yeah. So you said your wife's from the area?
Yeah,
Or
my wife is
Did she go to
from-
high school in
she
the area or?
she went to Hart County. That's where
Okay,
she lives. Yeah.
yeah.
And a lot of the family still lives down there.
Right.
So yeah, we're pretty close to them.
So you've been in real estate though. You've been in the game for 5 years?
No, 10 years.
No, 10 years.
10
Sorry.
years.
Yeah,
It was 10 years.
Okay.
Somewhere this spring.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So what did you do prior to real estate in E-Town?
Yeah.
So if you've been here 20 years, you started real
Yes.
estate 10 years. So what did you do prior to real estate?
Coming to E-Town, I was working for Old Navy,
Yeah.
so store manager.
Yeah.
So I took over the E-Town store, maybe 10 years or so. I can't remember exactly what it was. Did that for a few years, got licensed during the time,
Yeah.
and left Old Navy, and then worked for Barnes & Noble for 3 years
Okay.
while I was kind of
Yeah.
dipping into real estate.
Yeah.
And then
So
after
the
3
retail
years,
space, that's a tough
retail,
gig, man.
Exactly
That's
why.
a tough
yeah.
gig. Lots of hours,
Lots of
you know.
hours.
You
lots
all,
of
I
headache.
guess if anything, like with real estate, you can bring that work ethic,
Yeah.
to the real estate
Sure.
world, and you're dealing with the public and people, and yeah, I think you
Yeah,
can
it's-
transition well.
Exactly. It's you deal with people, you deal with crazy hours, as we
Yeah.
know, nights, weekends, whenever it may
Right.
be. So I'm used to that. So that's not a problem at all.
Yeah.
So it was an easy transition in that
Yeah.
regard. Obviously, I had to learn real estate from the beginning
Sure.
to do it, but it's been good.
So
Yeah,
who
okay.
got you into real estate? Like,
How did I-
what
yeah.
sparked the interest
Yeah.
to say, hey, I
Yeah.
want to,
I think there's always been something there.
yeah,
I always just knew growing up. I loved architecture. I loved
Yeah.
houses. I loved the different things
Yeah.
that went along with it. But growing up in a town in Indiana, you didn't really, know what to do with it. Like, how do you become a realtor? Nobody
Right.
ever talked to me.
there's
and
no
it's
career
very
path
small,
per se. Yeah, you got to
those-
know somebody
exactly
almost. Yeah.
small brokerages, and you didn't really know
Right.
anybody. And real estate's changed a lot since I was a kid, so
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
completely different world. But how I got into it, our friend Lacey actually got me into it. She is a realtor,
Okay.
and she helped us buy our last house that we're currently in. And so she kind of prodded me along and
Yeah.
talked to me a little bit, and said, you should become a real estate agent. And so, yeah, I mean, I jumped in and just
Did you
went
work
right
with
at
her
it.
initially? Was she kind of like your mentor, or did you?
She
go in a
was
different
actually.
direction?
So
yeah.
from the previous company I was at, she was my unofficial mentor,
Yeah.
which I highly recommend,
Yeah.
official or unofficial, whatever you need. Because in real estate, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And every transaction is very different.
Yeah.
It's a learning curve. So I think that you need somebody to bounce questions off, just
Yeah.
concerns, frustrations,
Absolutely.
whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Just to learn a little bit more as you go, because they don't teach you that stuff in the books and then
No.
What was
real
that
estate
first
school.
year like?
The first year,
Yeah.
the first
Like
year
right when you got your license,
Yeah,
you're like, all
yeah.
right, let's sell some
Oh, I was
houses.
ready to go because before I left my last job, I had done some transactions, and I thought, I've got this. I'm going to make $1 million, right? That's how it works. And that didn't happen at all.
Yeah.
First year was really tough.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
You expected it to just continue the good fortune, but I
Yeah.
realized now, I didn't realize it then, that I had no foundation to build off of.
Yeah.
Those transactions I had became, they were family, friends, whatever
Right.
it may be. So it really wasn't that base that I needed to learn and grow and just keep doing more each year, consistent more each year.
Right.
It kind of just stopped
Yeah.
because my friends and family at that point, nobody needed a house or nobody
Yeah.
wanted to sell. So what do you do? So yeah, the first year was really tough. So something for everybody, I think, to do is just really learn, grow, and it's okay to have another job while you're starting out.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. You've got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't let anybody ever tell you that you have to be a full-time agent to be successful. I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
Now, I do think the further along you go,
You do have to
you
evolve
absolutely
into that.
do.
Yeah.
But starting out, when your mortgage is due, you need food,
Yeah.
whatever it may
Right.
be, you got to figure out how to do that. So
Yeah, and I think the one benefit of that, initially when you're starting to is, it puts you in a situation when you're with clients, you're not just trying to make a sale,
Sure.
right? You're still
Yeah.
trying to do the right thing all the time.
Always.
Hopefully
Always.
your moral compass anyways will guide you there. But if you only got one transaction and you may not be looking out for the best interest. And I think that's a lot of, I think the general public, a lot of their concern with the real estate industry is real estate agents are only trying to make the sale.
Right.
Like they're not, they're a little concerned whether a real estate agent really has their best interest at heart as well. Are they doing this for my better? And I think that's instrumental for us to be able to try to, help clients understand that everything we do is for their best interest.
Absolutely.
Because I think that's how you build a sustainable business is by giving your clients the confidence to know that you always have their best interest at heart, no matter what,
Right.
even if that transaction doesn't, you're not just doing something for a deal to close or, just to make a check, right? Because we're referral based at the end of the
Sure,
day,
we are.
right?
Yes.
Like, and if you don't do a good job and you're only transactional, which I'm afraid we talked about this before, man, some real estate agents are transactional, and they're only looking for that transaction. Whereas I think I know you guys, and I know that you all are trying to build a client base that, people who know that they're taken care of and they're going to refer because you want them to refer their friends, their family. How can you do that if, unless you provide a referable experience, you know what I mean? So how many real estate, did you have, obviously you bought a house, but how many real estate transactions did you have before you got into the business yourself as a client? Did you purchase
Really,
real estate before?
I guess three
Three?
homes we had bought.
Were they all with the same real estate agent?
No. The first one was in Indiana.
Okay.
The second one, when we moved here, I honestly don't know how that agent became our agent. I couldn't tell you to this day. She did great. So,
She did a good job?
yeah.
Okay.
She
Did you
a
have
good
any
job.
bad experiences
No,
as a client?
I have not.
No.
No, I didn't.
What was that first house like? Like when you first purchased? Like you're going for your first home. Like what was it like for you? What were you thinking about?
Well, I think we had the first home we had bought in Indiana. It was a very small home, and we were just starting out.
Yeah.
It was a home that my aunt had owned, so she sold it to me. I'm sure at a very good price. So we had owned it for a few years, redid the kitchen, just to make it a little nicer. But it was an old home in town,
Yeah.
so I didn't know anything
Right.
at that point. It was pretty straightforward, the sale of it. So, but when we sold that house and moved to Indiana,
Or Kentucky.
or Kentucky,
Yeah.
sorry, 20 years ago or whatever it may be. And this is obviously about housing prices and how they've changed in 20
Sure.
years.
Yeah.
I remember we kind of had a budget of $150, And
That's balling back in the day.
back in the
Yeah.
day, it was. There were a lot of
Yeah.
options. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we weren't going any higher than 150.
Right.
So we had seen a house in Rineyville that my wife and I liked immediately, but it was higher than 150. So we were like, no way, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I know today, being
Yeah.
in the business, $6,000 is not a big deal.
Right.
But,
Yeah,
which is what a
absolutely.
buyer thinks of. So we have
Yeah.
to think in their terms.
You do.
Yeah. So we
Yeah.
looked around, went back and forth, had a contract in one, but it fell through. The sellers changed their mind. So we came back to the house that we originally liked and got it.
Yeah.
And paid a whopping 156, 157
Yeah.
at that point and thought we were crazy.
There you go.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you can still put yourself back in your shoes then, so you can know the feelings that you were feeling? Because to me,
Yes.
the biggest thing, excuse me, is empathy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like knowing what the buyer's feeling.
Right. Because there's a lot of emotions. It's a very emotional experience with somebody, not just the financial aspect of it, but the emotion of finding this house that they're going to be
Right.
in for how many years. Will it work for them? Is it a great area?
Yeah.
Can they afford it? So there's a lot of having to deal with just how they're going to be able to
Yeah.
maneuver this transaction and how you talk to them and speak to them and calm them down and be honest
Yeah.
with them.
Yes.
I think that's something you learn over time is you've got to be truthful with people.
Yeah.
And if you work with them enough and listen to them, you'll know. You'll be able to figure it out.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, that early on those, I did. I still think of that and kind of what I went through.
Yeah.
And
Don't ever lose that, man.
Don't ever lose it. Yeah, exactly. I won't. The stress of it just had a house under contract, and that, like I said, the sellers pulled out, and we were pretty devastated. And then we went back to the other house that worked out.
Yeah.
So it's,
What did your agent do to kind of keep you in the game? Because we both know that when we have a transaction
Right.
fall through, when people kind of have their sights set on a house,
Yes.
and they're like, oh, and there's
Yeah.
massive disappointment, and
Yeah.
it feels like everything's back to square one. It's not really back to square one.
But to them,
It's
it
not,
feels
but it
square
is
like
to
two
them
or
because
three.
they have to
Yeah.
change course
Yeah.
at that
yeah.
point.
What'd your
And
agent do to kind of keep you guys in the
It
fight?
was very similar to I think about kind of what I do now. It's let's take a minute, let's revisit where we were at before.
Yeah.
Let's see if what was out there will work for you. Because ultimately, the house that it was really our second choice.
Yeah.
It didn't work out, and so it was let's revisit the house we looked at previously. Look at some more in the area that we might like. It was keeping the focus on what we needed and what we were looking for, and not letting ourselves kind of, I guess, wallow in
Yeah.
that for a minute, but getting back to what we needed because we needed a house at that
Right.
point, and her job was to find us one.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sweet. What was your lending experience like? Working with whatever mortgage person you were
I'm
dealing
sure it
with?
was great. Honestly, I
Yeah.
can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that
If
point.
it wasn't
Yeah, yeah.
bad,
It wasn't
should've been
bad. I would
decent. Yeah.
remember if it was a bad experience.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it was. I'm sure it was a good experience, and obviously we can talk about lending and the experience and all that because we've had the good, bad, and the ugly as
Yeah.
agents, and you as a lender obviously know
Oh,
that
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Lending is crucial.
Yeah.
And I will. And as agents, we know we have lots of lenders that contact us, right?
Yeah.
So to find ones who you trust, know they're going to do the
Yeah.
job is so important to me. I say from the beginning, if you can't communicate with me,
Yeah.
then I don't want to work with you
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
because there's a
Communicate-
lot
it's
of good
huge.
lenders out there.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. But if
Oh,
they
yeah.
don't take the time to keep me in the loop and keep the
Right.
buyers in the loop,
Yeah.
then we have a big problem.
Oh,
I don't want to be
absolutely.
chasing answers
Yeah.
constantly. I need you to tell me where we're at.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not
Yeah.
be afraid to have those tough conversations
Yeah.
with the buyers
Mhm.
that naturally want to gravitate towards the agent because they
Yep.
probably have a closer relationship.
Yeah.
But obviously, as you know, there are things that we can't answer,
Sure.
nor should we answer. So
try
that's
to.
your
Yeah.
expertise.
Yep.
So just making sure that you're constantly in communication with those buyers
Yeah.
is very important.
Oh no, I
Stuff
agree.
changes on a transaction so fast.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yes.
especially when you're in those first beginning stages of inspection and appraisal. Like those are, dude, you got to be on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, and
Agree.
setting the tone, I feel like initially too, like when you first have that, when you first have that consultation with the client, when you first meet with a buyer and then you get them connected with a lender, it's important for the lender to have that initial consultation is huge, right? Because you're trying to make sure that you set their expectations and manage those expectations appropriately, right? And you have to be on the same page with the real estate agent. So it's like it's so crucial, man, that the lender and the real estate agent are working as a team
Yes.
and not as these separate entities, you know. And because I hear about these stories and I see these stories and I hear from clients like, hey, our last transaction didn't go as well as this, like. And I'm like, man, it's probably because the agent and the lender just weren't on the same page, or, you know what I mean? And they're just not working as a team. And that's what I think the typical client has to understand. Like, your lender and your real estate agent are your team. Like, that is your team,
Yes.
your real estate team. They got to work together. We got to all work together to make this happen, to make sure that you have a good experience, you know?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I think that I mean, you guys probably see it a lot too when you're working with, if they're working with other lenders, they're not giving them the proper information. They go to make an offer on a house and then find out it's way out of their price range. And like, how did the lender not talk to you about that before? You know what I mean? So I get it secondhand sometimes from clients. They'll call and say, hey, we were working with this other lender when we were working with this other agent. We made an offer on a house and then we didn't even know what the payment was before we went, or even have a range,
I was
right?
just going to mention that because we get into this all the time if we are kind of saddled with outside lenders, is like, yeah, it may be in their price range, but they see the payment.
Yeah.
Because
Sure.
we'll put it under contract, and then the contract gets to the client, and they see that payment for the first time, and they're like, "Oh snap!"
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Should
know.
never get to that point.
Yeah,
No.
Because at the
exactly.
end of the day, that's what it is, that
Yeah.
monthly payment.
This-
That's what they have to live with.
And this is what I try to tell clients and everybody I talk to, just any potential buyers, like, you know, it is so instrumental that you work through these and not, because I think what happens is a lot of clients, they see the financing aspect as secondary. Like when you're buying a car, right? Like if you're buying a car, do you go get pre-approved for a car before you buy a car? Probably not, right? You go get the car and then you figure it all out. Can't really do that with a house, or you shouldn't do that with a house, right? You should figure that stuff out. And I try to tell clients, it's not because if a real estate agent says, hey, we need to get you pre-approved, it's not that they don't think you're good for it. And I think that they're like, what do you mean? You don't think I get pre-approved? Like they almost take it as like you're disrespecting them in some way. But I think as an agent, as long as you do a good job of framing this, hey, it's not that I want to make sure, because somebody can get pre-approved for a house. Just because I can get you pre-approved for a $500,000 house doesn't mean you're going to want that payment. You know what I mean? So, and if you don't know this and you're taking them and the lender says, hey, yeah, they're good for 500, they go out, find a $500,000 house and then find what the payment is after they've written the contract, that's a problem. You know what I mean? And so I think that, you know, that's why the lender and the real estate agent have to work as a team to try to figure those. Now, of course, you get, you know, and there's no disrespect to some clients. Some of them will just, you know, go shoot from the hip willy-nilly and they just only hear what they want to hear until they're under contract. But there's nothing worse. There's got to be nothing worse. It doesn't really happen on our end, but I do hear these stories that somebody they'll get pre-approved, they'll write a contract, and then the deal will fall out at contract because they had no clue like what the payment, what they were going to need at closing.
Yeah.
And I hear these stories, it's crazy to me that something would fall out at contract that's not property related when it is only related to the fact that there's still, you're approved for this, but your payment is this, you know, and now they're finding out after they're under contract. And if the contract falls out due to that, then somebody's not on the same page,
Right.
you know? So
Yeah. It ultimately shouldn't happen.
should never happen.
We're not one of the people we work with.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you got to your first brokerage,
Yes.
so working with other agents, like what was the culture like? What was it like kind of getting into the real estate scene as an agent, you know? Like tell us about that. Maybe like what's your big welcome to agent life moment where you're like, "Oh, crap."
Were you only with one agency before the one you're at now?
No.
Prior?
No.
Are you
I
on
had-
what brokerage are you
I had
on?
started with Keller Williams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's where Lacey was with. So I hung my hat there, I should
Sure.
say. But they were in Louisville. They didn't have an E-Town
Okay.
branch. So I was still, at that point, still working full-time. So going up there on my days off, trying to learn as much as I could.
Sure.
And it got tough.
Yeah.
You know, trying to manage home, work, and getting up there when I could. So I was there a couple years, but great people there. Absolutely the best people at the Keller Williams offices up there. Learned a lot from them, and obviously from my mentor, Lacey. She was great. but I needed to be like where I didn't have to drive an hour to get somewhere.
Right.
I could go after work, before work, whatever it may be, and I just couldn't do that living in E-Town. So I made a switch to another brokerage. I was there a couple months, and I was kind of getting my feet wet, trying to learn that a little bit more. And during that time, Lacey had switched over to United Real Estate, and she told me that I should talk to the broker and she was in the E-Town office.
Nice.
And I was kind of like, nah, I just made a switch to a new brokerage.
Right.
I don't like change in general. I'm pretty much a creature of habit. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. And she's like, just go talk to her. And she just bugged me enough to where I just went and I'm like, I'll have a conversation with her.
Right.
And met her in that office, and she's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic person. Not just broker, but just a person in general.
That's awesome that
So,
you had that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I hear a lot of agents, they don't have that. So in their initial, you know what I
Sure,
mean?
yeah.
So
And it
that's
was
cool that you had that mentorship like
It,
that.
it,
you
it
know?
absolutely was. Just that what she felt like was a good switch for her at that point,
Yeah.
to switch to that brokerage, it might work for me too. And so, I had that conversation with her and made that switch pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And was there for, I guess, roughly 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
So,
that's cool.
Just a
Yeah. I know you've been there.
great group of people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
absolutely wonderful
I
people.
mean,
Yeah.
we've both had a handful of deals.
Yes,
with
we have.
people from
Yes,
that
I
office
just-
this year.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah,
was like
yeah.
it's all been great.
Yeah.
Great people.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So I guess like from a like what kind of advice do you give to? I think this year, traditionally the market's been made up of probably about 30% first time home buyers.
Mhm.
But I think this year, I've been telling everybody, I think this year, especially 2025, we're going to see that number be a lot bigger than what it had been in the past, because I think a lot of people that are used to home prices being 150,000 and interest rates below 5%, those people are stuck in the old mindset of what things used to be. So it's harder to get those people to make a move. Whereas first time home buyers, although they're scared and intimidated by the process, they don't have those preconceived notions in their mind. So I think that you're going to see that number of first-time home buyers, the percentage of buyers this year, I think is going to be larger of the sales. And so I think it's super important for us as industry professionals to be able to know, again, going back to the empathy thing, like to be able to empathize with these people, right? They've never been through a transaction. Maybe they're younger. They see all this information online now. You're drinking from a water hose, or fire hose with the information. And so I think the empathy thing plays again, like how can I put myself in their shoes to try to help them, realize like, I'm going to walk you through this. I got your back. Like how do you guide clients, and help kind of manage their expectations, their emotions? Like what are your...
You're 100% right. Actually, I'm working with someone right now, our first-time home buyers, and the questions and the concerns they have are very different from people who have done it before. But it's one, you have that consultation from the beginning and lay out the steps. Now, obviously, they're going to have a lot more questions as things happen because you don't know until you're in the middle of it. But it's addressing those questions and those concerns, and whether it may be with the lender or the title company or myself, it's taking a step back and realizing this is the first time they've done this. We've all been in that position at some point as homeowners. So just understanding that their questions are valid to them. They might seem, a little elementary to us because we've done it for so long, but they're very valid and they're very true for them. And how do you ease those concerns? It's talk to them, explain it to them. Sometimes you have to show them something, whatever it may be. But I think if you, like, perfect word, empathy, if you emphasize with them, they tend to understand what you're saying, and they calms them down a lot.
Yeah. Well, being prompt with your communication. Like you said, the communication, you expect communication from lenders. You have to be able to provide that same communication to your buyers as well, right?
Sure.
Like you need you expect prompt communication from lenders, which we should absolutely, it's as you guys know, it's like our number one objective is communication and speed, right?
Yes.
But as a real estate agent, I think that's super important too with when you're dealing with buyers and first time home buyers that are constantly asking questions. and you have to be cool with that, man. Like, I actually take pride in that. Like, cause I actually have clients tell me they're sorry. They apologize. I'm sorry for asking so many questions. I'm like, please do not
do
be
not.
sorry. Do not be sorry. Like, I know people in the business that barely know what they're doing and what's going on.
Yeah.
So you as a buyer or a client on the outside, I don't expect you to know anything, you know? So like, please use me as a resource. Like, this is literally what I get paid for, is to help guide you through this. And I like, so you have to wear it with a badge of honor. You know what I mean? And there are agents, you all know them, I know you do, that like they probably get frustrated with those type of buyers, and they're like, oh,
We're at the very more commonly dismissive.
right. Or
Where it's like,
dismiss,
it's not a big deal. Whatever.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
why
we'll
is it
take
not a
it.
big
Yeah.
deal?
Exactly.
You know?
And there's no explanation to it.
Yeah.
And that drives me nuts. I am guilty as charged with sometimes over explaining things, but it's only for the better of the client. You know what I mean? Like, I just want them to thoroughly understand every aspect of it and feel super comfortable with the process. Because there are people, you know, there's probably been people, and maybe you guys experienced this as well as buyers before you're in the industry, is they're like, I bought a house and I don't even know what happened. You know what I mean? Like, I have no clue the process or anything. They got me to the finish line, which I guess part of that's cool. But at the same time, it's like, I kind of want my clients to kind of have at least a basic idea of the process, right? So they felt comfortable and knowledgeable, because they're making this huge decision, you know, biggest purchase they'll ever make in their life. And you kind of want them to have at least a basic knowledge of like, hey, these are the steps of the process. I think it just kind of helps people realize that maybe it's not quite as scary as what you think. And I think that's where the scariness comes from, is just, you know, lack of knowledge. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't know what's going on, and you're in the dark. And so as an agent, if you're communicating to them, if they're asking questions, you open yourself up to questions. But if you're like some of these old school agents are like, I don't like working for some home buyers because they have so many questions. They have this. And I'm like, man, you should embrace that. You know what I mean? Like, I do. I embrace that. I want to be that resource, you know? It's kind of like, you know, if you have kids, right? Like, you know, your kids are always asking you for this, asking you for questions. But I hear these stories from parents that are empty nesters, when their kids, they almost want to feel needed by their kid, right? When their kid leaves the house,
absolutely.
now all of a sudden you're like, well, what can I do for you? You know what I mean? Like, how can I help? Like, I kind of want to approach that I want to have that same philosophy with my clients. You know, I do, man. I tell clients this all the time. I'm like, dude, if you were, you know, I'm going to treat this transaction like you were my family. You were my kid or my family, you know, and I want you to know everything that's going on. I want you to feel comfortable about every step of the process. And I think it's important you know, because some people will go into these transactions very defensive, you know, and that's just due to lack of knowledge, you know. But that's all I ask of clients is be coachable. That's all I ask of you. Just allow me to help coach you through this. You know what I mean? That's really it, man. But open them up to, you know, like, let them know, like, no question is stupid. You know, there's no such thing as a dumb question.
Yep.
So what, so when you're like, I mean, with you being with a new company now, transitioning to Compass and Key Group, what do you think has been advantageous to you as like evolving as an agent to be able to help your clients? How has that kind of helped position your clients and, you know,
What made you
better?
want to make this switch in the first place?
Why did
Let's
I
get
make
it on the
switch in the
record.
first place?
Yeah.
Well, as we know,
How'd that
Austin, that was not easy for me, was it?
No.
As you
Yeah,
remember.
you said you were a creature of habit.
I-
But
yeah,
7
absolutely,
years with somebody,
absolutely.
that's a hard change,
and,
man.
and it wasn't at any point where I was unhappy, where I was
Right.
at, which a lot of people do leave because they're unhappy. I
Sure.
was not unhappy.
I think everyone you worked with was super surprised. They're like, it
yeah.
was like out of left field. They're like, oh my God.
Yeah. They were like, Steve has left? What's going on?
Yeah.
So I had to explain to each of them more or less individually
Yeah.
why I made that change. And Austin and I actually did a deal together towards the end of last year.
Yeah.
Went super easy.
Yeah. Ryan was part of that deal too.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
So we all did a deal.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
You are correct. Yeah. I remember calling you early on in the transaction, and you had a listing in close to where I live, so I saw it online because, of course, I follow my area very closely.
Yeah.
And I was just telling you, I thought your marketing was spot on. It was really good.
Yeah.
The photos, your market, everything about it, I thought was really great. And you had invited me to just come to your office.
Yeah.
And just take a look and see what you did
Mm-hmm.
to
Right.
get to that point, and not just the marketing of a listing
Yeah.
or a listing or a buyer or whatever it may be, but just a little bit more.
Yeah.
And of course I went because I'm a nice person, and I'm like,
Sure.
yeah, I'll go because,
Throw
Yeah,
this dude a
sure.
that's
bone.
just how I
Right.
am. I'll
Yeah.
just-
Well, yeah, it was a lot of like, oh, how'd you do that? I'm like, I can show you.
right.
Yeah.
Stop by.
And that's, and Austin, was showing me what he did in his CRM.
Yeah.
And I
CRM is customer relationship manager.
thank
for
you. You have
all
to
out
explain
there.
that because we all don't understand that. Yes,
Mhm.
correct. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Austin was showing me what he
Yeah.
was able to do with his, and not just very basic, but just kind of take it and
Yeah.
build on it. Like everything was
Sure.
a stepping stone to more. And for someone a little older,
Yeah.
not quite tech advanced, I thought it was just pretty cool. Like, how
Yeah.
do you do that? Show me how to do that.
Yeah.
Because once I think I get in deep, I can figure it out. But
Yeah.
just the initial learning how to do it and the frustration
Yeah.
of not getting it to work right, you end up just giving up. So,
Right.
which is anything that you struggle with. So Austin, we talked that day. It was I think it was maybe before Christmas. We'll maybe reconvene after Christmas.
Yeah.
Went
It
back
was
and
like, it
talked
was
to
right
him.
in between Christmas and New Year's.
It was
I
so it was
think.
very
Yeah.
busy. There was a lot going on, and I think we had closed our deal in early December. Maybe
It was week before Christmas, I think.
was it? Okay,
It was like
yeah,
18th,
it was before Christmas. I
16th,
remember that
18th, something like
because we talked about maybe just getting back after Christmas.
that. Uh-huh.
So I did, and went back in there again and showed me a little bit more of what he did, and great.
Yeah.
I like this. I want to. I'm really interested in it. Leave the office, get home, or talk to maybe somebody else. I'm like, no, I think I'm going to stay where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was that constant back and forth because it was, again, it was a great place that I was at. So
Right.
it was hard to leave
Yeah.
them. And then I'm like, am I making the right decision? Because I'm
Mhm.
very happy, but am I comfortable? And
Right.
am I not really embracing everything that's out there?
To elevate your game.
Elevate my game,
with the
my
ultimate
business.
goal to better serve your clients.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. How can I be better
Yeah.
at what I do? I
I
want
love
to
that,
be better.
dude.
I don't
Like,
want
that's
to,
awesome.
Yeah, I don't
That's
want,
not a mentality a lot of people in our industry have, and I love
yeah.
that.
Well,
believe it
good.
or not.
Yeah. I think in general I want to be that way,
Yeah.
but absolutely want to be in real estate because I made that switch 10 years ago and I thought I've got to be successful.
Yeah.
And more or less I was for 10 years. I did
Yeah.
well. I mean, I probably did
Yeah.
better than most agents.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
But you're
don't
still
know
paying the
stats.
bills.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're not
right.
DoorDashing.
But I wanted to do more.
You didn't put your license in escrow.
I
so-
did not. I never did that at any
Yeah.
point. But I did. I just wanted more, and I was trying to figure out how do I do more because I do great business with my sphere,
Yeah.
and you talked about that a little bit, and I think it's very important that you treat those people right, and they in turn
Yeah.
will refer you.
Absolutely,
So
man.
I've done very well with that, and I take pride in that. That
Yes.
I do, treat those people with the utmost respect
Right.
and empathy, and what's best for them. It's not about me. It's what's
Yeah.
best for them, and my reward will come because of that.
100%,
Yes.
man.
So I was just figuring out how do I elevate it because I know that technology is such a major part
Yeah.
of this business. Somebody help me with it a little bit more.
Right.
And so Austin obviously is very good at that. So we just, went back and forth. And eventually I just said, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
And do it
Ballsy.
now or I'll walk
Yeah.
out the door
Yeah.
and change my mind
Ballsy
again.
moves.
Yeah.
It was,
Ballsy
again,
move.
because I do like, consistency, and I am a person who, I put a lot of trust and honesty, and not just myself, but other
Yeah.
people. So when I've got that around me,
Yeah.
it's a good feeling. We all like that.
Absolutely.
But I thought at that point, I've got to branch out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I'd had other brokerages reach out to me.
I'm sure,
We all know
yeah.
it happens all the time. And great places, and I could have been happy, but they weren't really giving me anything different than what I
Yeah.
had. Why
Yeah.
would I make that switch?
Yeah.
I felt, with Compass and Key, I could maybe get a little bit more than what I was doing. Hopefully that was my goal.
Yeah.
I'm going to make this switch. And so jumped right in,
Yeah.
basically at the first of the year.
Yeah, I love it, man. Well, I've always loved the idea of like smaller independent offices, man. Like I feel like you just like the real estate agents and then even on the mortgage side, like you've just got more, you have so much more emphasis. You're not relying upon some big name brand to try, like it's all about you and the clients and they're working with you, you know, at the end of the day, man. Like Steve is the brand, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, you're not relying, and you have to put everything you have into the client and, you know, but that's the thing with technology now, small independent offices can still have the same technology that, you know, and that's with technology advancements and it's allowed small independent offices still be able to provide, you know, this new tech and be able to serve their clients at the same level these other big box brands. And I think that younger folks now they don't care about the brand, about some balloons behind your head or something. You know what I mean? Like that kind of, you know, they ain't worried about all that, man. Like they're working with you, man. Like at the end of the day,
We've said that before. They don't
Yeah.
care the name
No.
behind you. It's the person.
it's you. Yeah,
And
100%.
that will ultimately drive, you know,
Yeah.
your success. And
Yeah, and it just creates the, you know, you just have to put forth, you put forth your entrepreneurial spirit versus just relying on some, you know, coasting on like a brand's coattail or something. I work for ABC Company. I think some of probably older clients probably look at the brand more like what company you work for, you know what I mean? But most clients now, dude, they don't care, man. Like
I've
they wanna-
honestly, I can't think of the time I've had someone ask me about the
What
brokerage
right.
and what it was about.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know, my name's on there with it
Exactly.
too, so that's what they're seeing first.
yeah,
Most people don't understand the concept either. They
No, they
just think
don't.
of brokerage as like a company. They don't understand the concept
Yeah.
of teams.
Right.
So, and they don't even know that brokers are like really a thing. Like maybe
Yeah.
some more seasoned clients, but like most of
Right.
the like your everyday consumer, they
Yeah.
don't really understand that stuff.
yeah. And I think when you work for a smaller company, I think naturally you've just got to have that scrappier mentality, you know, to fight for your client, get out there and get after it. And that's why I find like it's like that's why I more romanticize the smaller independents, like smaller shops. You know what I mean?
Well,
Versus
that's why
these
I want to
big-
stay small.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when Steve and I first talked, he was like, what's your goal? Like, you know, how many people do you want to have in the office? And I was like, honestly, I'm not really recruiting right now. I just
Yeah.
thought you were really cool. So
Yeah.
we could sit down and talk real estate. So,
Yeah.
you know, I wasn't even one of our first sit downs. I really wasn't even thinking like, oh, Steve could come work here. I was like, let me show this dude my CRM real quick because he's really cool. And I really want to keep it small because I think there's a definite like, it's like nature, it's biological. Like there's a reason why small groups of people do better work per person because you're able to maintain quality, a much higher level of quality. So like all of our trainings are better because there's fewer people in the office. Everyone gets more one-on-one time. And we're able to be more flexible. So we can respond to new lead systems or new marketing techniques or different things and much faster without having to go through the rigmarole. And on top of that, like, I think that we keep a small group with us. You know, we have, you know, us that work together. Sierra, she'll be on here a little bit later, but we know each other super well. So there's a much like tighter, like a bond, like some more camaraderie, I think. So even though we do sometimes compete a little bit when, you know, if we have houses that we both have buyers that are looking at or something like that. But I think for the most part, we're able to operate a little bit more like a unit.
Absolutely.
And I think that's just way better for individual performance.
Yeah.
But I think you talking about keeping it small. It's, as we know, larger brokerages, you have, you know, you do a training session and
Yeah.
It's like a seminar.
well,
Yeah.
you know, you have 60 agents and
Right.
3 show up,
Yeah.
right? So you've got 3 who understand it, but the other 57 who have no idea what's going on in the world. Keep it small. We're all on the same page. The expectation is we all go there and we all learn and talk and communicate with each other and figure it out. But we're all on the same page at that point. So you don't have that agent off to the side who is really kind of, you know, out on their own that doesn't understand what's going on, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
any
Well,
concept.
especially on the learning thing, this could help us transition too, because you've got a secondary gig that you do too, is teaching.
I do.
Right?
Well,
Substitute.
I don't know if I'd call me a teacher, but
Yeah,
yes,
but
yes.
you're teaching, and so
Steve,
you could
local
probably,
local educator who
Yeah.
also works in real
so
estate.
you
Shout
can
out
understand.
to my central
Yeah.
high school people. Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So like if you know you could probably see the value in, if you're teaching, having a smaller classroom
Yeah. Oh,
versus
yeah.
a larger, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, so tell us about that, man. Like the teaching thing, like how does that kind of correlate and just work? You know, how do you work that in with real estate? And
It's honestly now become because I'm very grateful for it. I'm busier in real estate than I used to
Yeah.
be years ago when I first started substitute teaching. So now it's basically gone to Central High.
yeah,
I know people there. A lot of them will just text me and ask me if I want to be them that day.
yeah,
Sometimes the office manager will message me and ask me. So it's really if it works for me.
Right.
Now, of course, because I'm always a people pleaser, I always try to say yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need to not say yes as much, but I'm much better. I know if I've got things going on,
Sure.
I can't do it.
Right.
But I will help them if I
Yeah.
can. What I like about it is I probably could have been a teacher back
Yeah.
in the old days when I was
Sure.
younger. Whatever reason, I didn't go that route. But I could see myself as being one.
yeah,
Social studies, though, nothing, no English or math or anything like
yeah,
that. But I enjoy it. I enjoy the kids.
yeah,
Some days I actually can teach them something. I mean, as a
Yeah.
sub, your job is to do what the teacher has
Right.
left for you to do. But I think there are opportunities where you can, especially because I've done it for so long, and I know you do it. However often you get to know some of the kids,
yeah.
you can actually maybe teach them a little something, and
Right.
that's pretty cool. I actually enjoy it. So I understand where a teacher has those students and they've changed their lives, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a little bit of exaggeration with me, but just they've made a difference.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool to see that teachers have really important jobs, and unless you're
Yeah.
in it, and I can't even understand what all they do. But what I see of them, it's such a hard job.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they don't value them enough.
No.
So
not
any
at
chance
all.
you have to praise a teacher, just tell them they're doing a great job. Just do it,
Yeah.
because they most definitely, I've seen where
They're
they
definitely
can
underpaid.
really change that child and get them on a different course, a better
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about our job being transactional. That's probably the least transactional job that you can get into
Sure.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the pay sucks, the hour sucks, like
right, yeah,
benefits aren't that great.
Yes.
Like, what are you doing here, man? Like,
Yeah.
I want to teach kids.
Yeah.
right.
You know,
I think that kind of transitions a little bit to the real estate industry too, because you're teaching clients,
Sure.
Yeah.
trying to help them understand and learn and kind of. So I think that teaching, that philosophy that you bring to teaching can, that translates to the real estate side
Sure.
too,
Yes.
right? Like not just first time home buyers, but even, I mean, think about it, man. Like I tell, even if somebody hasn't bought a house in 8 years, they're kind of a first time home
They
buyer.
are. It's a
again.
different
You know
world.
what I mean? Like
It's
yeah.
absolutely a different world. The closing I just had today, they 20, I can't remember how many years it's been, but it was a completely different experience
yeah.
than when they first. And you see that a lot.
Oh yeah.
It's just not the way it used to be. And we haven't even been around long enough to see all the changes that happened way before we got into it. So it's a learning experience, and
Yeah.
I think that is why I really enjoy, obviously, what I do, but also helping out and being a substitute teacher a little bit. Is you teach people
Yeah.
things, and people learn, and I enjoy that.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
kind of where I fall back to.
Yeah.
when you mentioned that transaction today, I just got kind of curious. Tell us about your best transaction ever, and also your worst transaction. Like
My worst is easy.
Your worst
That's
is
an easy
okay.
one.
So
You
we'll
always
save that one
remember
for
that
later.
right?
You always remember your worst.
I've been very lucky.
Yeah.
Most transactions, even though they can be difficult,
Yeah.
most of the people have been really good. It's
Yeah.
usually because when there are issues, it's usually the lack of communication,
Yeah.
or
100%.
and that ultimately leads to breakdown for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't even think of the best. Like the one today was fantastic. They were amazing. They moved from out of state,
Mm-hmm.
and they trusted me to help them find a home.
Yeah.
That's a
And,
huge,
you know, a lot of it is
Huge
lot-
responsibility. Yeah.
It is, and you
They're
put
not
that on
from
yourself.
here.
So
They're like,
you
"Is this
want to make
good?"
sure.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you
And if
are-
you're a real estate agent and you don't feel that way, then shame on
yes,
you.
yes,
Because you
it
should
is.
feel
Coming
that.
from out of state, that's
Yeah,
Yes.
you
another
should-
level. Like,
yeah.
people are already. We talked about this on our first episode. People are trusting you with their life savings, their home,
Yes.
their livelihood in some ways.
all
Like,
of that, man.
but when it's out
And
of
we see
state,
a lot of that.
multiply it by like 2 or 3 because
Yeah.
they're really flying with one eye shut.
Yeah. And we see a lot of that in our state, especially, especially
we
our
do.
area in
I-
Elizabethtown.
I've got somebody else currently right now that we're working with.
Yeah.
Those are Alaska people.
No, actually, I'm still working with them.
Okay.
Going tomorrow to look for something.
There
No,
you
this
go.
is actually my New York people.
Okay. Oh yeah.
And so what, kind of tying on to what you're saying, but what, as you're doing video tours, you know, FaceTime, whatever it may be for these people, as you get to know them, as you walk into a house too, and you start, after
Yeah.
a certain point, whether it's going to be right or wrong.
Right.
If you listen to what they say and what
Right.
they're looking for, it becomes a much easier job for you because
Yeah.
you're not going to 50 houses.
Right.
You're starting to narrow it down
Yeah.
Yeah.
and saving everybody a lot of time.
Mhm.
So, you know, it's just happened with people. I've walked in, I started the FaceTime with them, and we're a couple minutes in, and I'm like, I knew it wasn't going to be the right one.
Yeah.
You just knew it. So, you know, you finish up, and then you have that conversation, and you're in agreement.
Yeah.
And so, it listening.
Yeah,
that's
listen-
so big. You
listening,
do that,
that's key.
it makes everything so much better.
Mhm.
So I've had, like I said, I've had some great experiences, and
You're not going to pick favorites.
I'm not gonna pick favorites. If somebody's watching, then they're
Yeah.
gonna be mad that they
Like,
weren't picked as a
I love
favorite.
you all.
It's
so
like your
much.
children, right?
Yeah,
You love them
no,
all.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But I think my worst experience,
Yeah.
and it was last year, I believe, and the client was actually ultimately, I think, a very nice person.
Mhm.
It was they made my job just really rough. Like everything I tried to do to help,
Mhm.
it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And I did probably too much. I think there needs to be a limit of what you take
Yeah.
Mhm.
and what you constantly give out and what you get back.
Yeah.
It got to be maybe a little bit more. I should have said that's enough.
Right.
But the person in me, the
Yeah.
people that want, the person that wants to do the right thing and please and do that kept me going.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did because I learned a lot from it. Maybe I need to maybe create some own barriers
Yeah.
where I didn't and let that person kind of run over me.
Yeah.
And but it was just from the beginning. It was rough. Felt like what you were doing was never good enough.
Right.
The whole process, whether
Yeah.
it be with the lending side or title
Mhm.
or whatever it was, a walkthrough, the final walkthrough, there was just always pushback.
Right.
And that and I felt too that the trust that they had with me was not there.
Yeah.
And that probably bothered me a lot.
Oh
Because
yeah. I know.
I spent a lot of time like building that trust and listening
Yes.
to them and understanding where they're coming
Right.
from. And when I felt like I didn't get anything in return,
Yeah.
just pushback constantly, it just made it a really tough
Yeah.
transaction.
Yeah.
And what I did, I kept the other agent in the loop the entire time. Because
Yeah.
obviously you've got sellers on the other side who are wanting
Right.
to sell their house. So a lot of these barriers that were getting put up between getting that closed, I kept the agent in the loop and just let them know, what's going on. This, we
I mean,
might
that's
have
what you
some
should
things.
do, really. I
Right.
mean,
You should do that all the time.
We
Yeah.
have
Yes.
we have barriers of confidentiality for certain items,
Sure.
but I mean, there's stuff that we can share, and it makes it easier not just to work with that other agent in the transaction because like you're giving them an open line of communication to make sure that you're treating them as like, hey, your time is just as important as my time.
Mhm.
So when you do need to negotiate with them, like it's much easier because they're looking
Yeah.
at Steve. They're like, yeah, Steve's a great dude.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
mean, he's been easy
Yeah.
to work with. He's not trying to
Exactly.
stick it to us. Like, let's just have some dang common sense
Yeah.
and work with him, but then also turn around, if you got clients trying to show that agent's another listing from that agent in 6 months to a year, it's always a good experience,
Yeah.
and sometimes you got to swallow your pride a little bit.
You do. You
But-
do. Yeah. You're right. That between the other agents is just crucial. It does. It makes because our goal is to help our client either
Yeah.
sell that house or buy that house. And it's not about us. And the majority of agents are great to work with, but we all know that there are a couple who feel like they have to be in charge of the
Right.
entire process.
Be in charge, bro.
You know,
Yeah.
they can think they are, I
Yeah.
guess, if they feel better that way.
Yeah.
But it's not about them. It's
Yeah.
not about them.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, we've got the confidentiality and the loyalty to our, our people that we work with, but they want to buy a house or they want to sell a house. That's our goal. So how can we make this work?
Right.
And sometimes, it can be a lot of compromising.
Mhm.
It's not always one side or another. It doesn't have to be that way. We can each give and take a little bit and make it a great experience.
Yeah. And that bad experience, that just kind of reminds me, like, you come to these realizations when you've worked with so many clients, like there are just you can do everything.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't matter, man. There's just some people. And I tell people, like, I to get good customer service, you also have to be a good customer, right? Or a good client to get good service. You know what I mean? Like, I don't go into places demanding things and then, being rude to people and, and then expect good service back. Like, I have to be a good customer or client to whatever business I'm frequenting to expect that level of service back,
Yeah.
And it's just like, there are
Like,
just
still
some people.
They're still people. Like, we're not robots.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's just some people, no matter what you do, man, like they're not going to be happy. It doesn't matter.
They won't be. But it's also that learning to adapt. They don't change their behavior for us. We have to change our behavior for them.
Yeah.
And lots of different personalities in anything you do. So you have to be able to adjust to them. Some need hand holding.
Yeah.
They need constant phone calls. They need texts. They need emails. Some need very little from you the entire time.
Yeah.
So you
That
have to
comes out in the
learn.
consult,
And
though.
what's
Yeah.
that?
That comes out if you do a good consult.
Right.
You set the tone
Absolutely.
right
Yeah.
away.
You get to
Like,
know-
you know.
Because you'll get a feeling for
Most of the
for the
time.
type of person they
Yeah.
are at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily a first time home buyer that needs more hand holding.
Yeah.
It's not always the case.
No,
You just
no,
don't
no.
know.
Yeah.
So those consults are very important to
Yeah.
to understand kind of where you have to adjust your thinking and your thought process and your communication to make it happen.
If you had a brand new agent, so say like Steve Niekerk back, in 2015 when he first got his license, like watching you through the mirror, through that, one-way, two-way mirror that, he's watching you, quarterback this transaction.
Yeah.
What would you, what narration would you give for him?
For a brand new agent,
for brand new Steve Niekerk that has a nightmare deal.
that it will get better. They're not all going to be like that for one.
Yeah.
But what did you learn from that? Is there anything you can take away to be a better agent for the next transaction?
Yeah.
Every transaction, you learn something new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You wouldn't think so after you've done so many after so
Yeah.
many years. But there's always something, whether it's little or big, that you can learn and take, and you'll remember it the next time.
Yeah.
It might come up, or maybe you are able to help another agent because you've had that situation
Right.
happen.
Yeah.
But again, don't let it beat you down. If at the end of the day, and you can go to bed at night and know that you did your best job, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
But I think, I did look at that transaction and think, could I have done something differently?
Right.
To
Yeah.
be better? Could I have had a different way of communicating with this person?
Have you ever made a big oh no mistake?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but
Give us one. Yeah, go ahead. Give us one.
I don't know.
Maybe
I
not
mean,
your worst
maybe-
one.
or-
Give us a mistake that you made that you learned from.
Oh, it's probably the thing where it could be a home inspection issue or something. Maybe
Yeah.
I did something wrong or that. I don't know. I don't feel like I've ever really made anything that's gonna really hurt the deal at the end of the day.
Right.
I don't, because especially as I first started, everything was brand new to me.
Sure.
So I was all about asking questions and asking another agent or agents, my mentor, whoever it may be, just what should I do in this situation? I've never dealt with this. What's the next step? What should I say to the other agent who's asking me this? I don't know what the right thing is. So I don't think I've ever done anything really bad. It's probably, in my head, it was probably bigger than what it really ultimately was.
Yeah.
Because I want to always do the right thing. That's just, very important to me to always treat the people the right way and do the right thing. You're putting, as we said, this big purchase in other people's hands to help facilitate it and get it through.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
That's
I'm sure if I thought about it, I would like an oh no moment.
Sounds
where-
like probably maybe some of the mistakes from that, and I think this is what it's just maybe when you look back on something, you're like, well, maybe I could have communicated that
Oh, yeah,
differently,
yes,
right?
absolutely.
Like that's just probably the
Yeah.
biggest mistake. Maybe I should have communicated this in a different way
Right.
so they could understand it a little differently,
Right.
you know.
And
So
take your own feelings out
Yeah.
of it,
Yeah,
because you
that's hard to do.
it's hard to
Yeah.
do because you
we're
can,
human, you know.
yeah,
I mean,
right. You
like-
can get beaten down. You can get kind of tore apart.
Yeah.
in some of these things, but step back and are they mad at you or are they mad at the situation?
Yeah.
That's and it's usually the situation.
right.
So once you kinda,
Although they may take it out on
They-
you,
they will,
but
most definitely,
it's
yeah,
not.
they will take it
yeah,
out
you
on
just
us.
can't personalize it.
right,
Yeah.
you're because we are that first resource, that
Yeah.
line of that they're going to go to first.
Right.
So we have to be able to take it. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You learn
I
from
mean,
it.
that's kind of what the
Yeah.
mind's for. You gotta learn to kind of take it on the chin a little bit,
Right.
because you're right. It's not about you, and I think that's probably one of the first things that I noticed about you. As we start to wind down, I'm gonna put Steve in the spotlight a little bit, just because I think it's important that a lot of people get a chance to see how skilled you are, not just as an agent, but as a human. And so, because when I first started the company, I really wasn't heavy on recruiting at all. Like, if it's just me, it's just me.
Right.
But getting a chance to work that deal with you in Nicholas Ridge was such a good experience, and not necessarily for the reasons that you would expect. But it's a lot of. I mean, you've had your license longer than me. You've been in the community longer than I had, but there's a complete absence of ego for your side of the fence. Being on the listing side, that can be a little bit more of a pompous position. And so, but yeah, sure, you may have lacked some tech skills, maybe needed an update, but the agent fundamentals were completely rock solid. There was no really stone left unturned. None of the corners were cut. Everything was tied up in a neat little bow. And on top of that, you were just easy to work with. You were able to see the transaction in the fullest scope of you're taking care of the buyer side in one sense is taking care of your side. And it was really interesting that you saw that, because you don't see it from a lot of people that have been in the game as long as you. They're kind of just like, I don't care. We talked about this a few episodes ago where it's like so easy to get jaded. And I think that's something that I really don't think it'll ever go away. So I really just I'm appreciative that you're on the team, and
Likewise.
Yeah, it was great.
It's a as I left the closing today, you get a really good feeling about what you just did,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
whether the transaction was easy or hard.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we closed, and
Yeah.
Right.
everybody was happy. And the
Happy, yeah.
buyers and the sellers were together at the closing table.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
everybody closed happy.
everybody
You
closed
Yeah,
happy,
that's
and they
huge,
talked to
man.
each
closed
other.
the
Yeah.
right way.
Everybody was talking to each other.
I
And
mean, you
could
had another
tell
one this
I
week
love
that
that.
you thought was not going to be that great, but you
It-
turned it around at the
It
closing
absolutely
table.
turned around because
you brought
the
everyone
buyers and the
together
sellers
and
communicated and talked
Yeah.
to each other, and they found out that they had a lot in common. And again, when a seller is selling their house and they've been in it a number of years, it's very personal to them.
Yeah.
There's a lot that's happened
Emotional
in that
connection.
house.
Yeah.
And I seen a seller yesterday that I had who was very emotional leaving a house that she'd been in over 20 years. And then I had the buyer today, but I saw the seller on the other side who had been in a house for quite a few years, and she's had a lot of, unfortunately, misfortune with her husband passing, and she was in a beautiful big house that she just too much for her at
Right.
this point. So there's a lot of leaving this house that she had all these memories in, and she knows it's the right thing at the end of the day, but
Yeah.
there's that push-pull of how hard it is.
Oh yeah.
And it's, for some people, I think that house is four walls, and that's a house, I guess.
Right.
For other people, it's a home. It's a place where
Yeah.
you create all these memories.
Yeah.
And the house that we had in Rineyville, we created so many memories, and it was just such a great experience.
Yeah.
And I drive by that house. Would I want it? I don't know. We're at a different
Yeah.
spot in our lives,
Sure.
but it was a house that it was just nothing but good.
Right.
So, and I think
Yeah.
we have to, and it's just, there's so much more.
Yeah.
So much more than what we sometimes think about what we do.
Yeah.
it's-
Absolutely. You're not just selling
We're not
this
just selling
thing.
something.
You know what I mean?
No.
It's like more than that. Yeah.
It's a great feeling, and that's even during the hard times.
Yeah.
And we have hard times in our business. That's what keeps you going.
Yeah. Just got to think about the good
Think about
ones.
the good.
Yeah.
You get up and you think, okay, well, yesterday was not great, or the last hour wasn't so great, but
Yeah.
it'll be okay.
Yeah.
And
just
we're going to
keep
be able
moving.
to keep moving
Yeah.
forward, and you'll just keep doing the right thing, and everything works out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
That's
Love
a good
it.
stopping point, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
Sweet.
And we'll keep working.
You got it.
See you.
Beautiful.
All right.
All right. We're
Yeah.
out. Peace.
Yeah.